reached out, he wrote like a text saying, listen, sorry how this all played out or whatever. You know, I want to fight at the White House. I'm serious about that.
Jon Jones contacted Dana through text, expressing regret about the Aspinall drama and requesting that White House fight opportunity. But White's stance remained unchanged. Trust had been shattered. By February 2026, when White met with matchmaker Mick Maynard to finalize the historic UFC White House card, Jones wasn't even part of the discussion. The door had officially closed on what could have been the biggest fight in UFC history.
You said Jon Jones called you, and he apologized. What was...
White's rejection wasn't surprising to those paying attention. He'd been consistent for months. Jones brought too much risk to an event of this magnitude. The UFC president needed fighters who would show up without question, not someone with a history of last-minute complications. When asked directly if Jones's apology changed anything, White's response was swift and definitive: no.
He reached out, he wrote like a text saying, listen, sorry how this all played out or whatever. You know, I want to fight at the White House. I'm serious about that.
And then came the question.
The breaking point came from a specific incident that White referenced repeatedly. Jones had agreed to fight Tom Aspinall, but it wasn't just a handshake agreement. White described it as a done deal. Then everything fell apart when Jones started seeking opinions from multiple people instead of honoring his commitment. White compared this to Conor McGregor, who simply asks who he's fighting and shows up ready.
Him reaching out and doing that, but I need people I can count on for this fight.
White couldn't afford uncertainty with the White House card. This wasn't just another event. It was a historic spectacle requiring absolute reliability. He needed fighters who would deliver without drama, and Jones's track record suggested he might not be that fighter. The comparison to McGregor highlighted exactly what White valued: commitment over complications.
And I know who they are. I know who they are not.
The heavyweight title saga reached its climax on June 21, 2025, in Baku, Azerbaijan. Dana White stood before cameras and delivered shocking news that re-shocked the entire MMA landscape. Jon Jones had called that evening to announce his retirement, effective immediately. The long-awaited unification bout with Tom Aspinall was officially dead, and just like that, Aspinall was promoted from interim to undisputed heavyweight champion.
I haven't said yes or no to anybody yet, but I can't put Jon Jones in a position where he can...
This wasn't how anyone expected the Jones era to end. After months of negotiations, public guarantees from White that the fight was 100% happening, and endless speculation about when and where it would occur, everything concluded with a simple phone call. Jones walked away from what many considered the biggest heavyweight fight in UFC history, leaving Aspinall to inherit a division that had been frozen in place for nearly 2 years.
With him, we had a deal to fight Tom Aspinall.
The negotiations had been torturous, stretching across multiple fight windows and involving reported demands from Jones for compensation exceeding $30 million. White had publicly expressed confidence throughout the process, calling it one of the biggest fights in company history. Behind the scenes, however, complications kept mounting. Financial terms, timing preferences, and Jones's apparent reluctance to commit to serious training between fights.
He said, you know what, I'm not going to do it.
He didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan revealed a telling detail about Jones's mindset during this period. Jones had requested 6 months to prepare for Aspinall, not because of injury or scheduling conflicts, but because he needed time to rebuild his conditioning from essentially zero. He simply wasn't training between fights anymore, a habit that had carried over from his younger days, but now seemed more problematic given his age and the stakes involved.
Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired.
The most bizarre twist came just days after Jones announced his retirement. Despite formally stepping away from competition, he appeared at the ESPYs already discussing a potential comeback for the White House card, an event still a full year away. This flip-flopping perfectly encapsulated White's frustration and validated his concerns about reliability. How could you build a historic event around someone who retired and unretired within the same week?
Jon Jones said he needed 6 months to prepare for Aspinall if he's going to fight Aspinall. So they were trying to make a deal, and then he decided to retire.
6 months.
The UFC White House card represents something unprecedented in combat sports history. Scheduled for June 14, 2026, coinciding with America's 250th anniversary and President Trump's 81st birthday, this event will take place on the South Lawn of the White House itself. White House described it as potentially the most-watched UFC event ever, with a production budget exceeding $20 million and infrastructure challenges that include leveling the sloping lawn and designing lighting that won't obscure the iconic building backdrop.
But it's 6 months because he's not training, like at all. Like he just doesn't train. Like in between fights, just doesn't train.
Yeah.
Which to me,
This isn't just another fight card, it's a monument to American combat sports. The event will air live on CBS and Paramount Plus, eliminating pay-per-view barriers and reaching the broadest possible audience. Only 6 to 7 fights will make the card, ensuring each bout maintains headliner quality. With 3,000, 4,000 on-site attendees and millions watching worldwide, every element must be executed flawlessly. White cannot afford any variables that might compromise this once-in-a-lifetime spectacle.
They were talking to him like he had been retired for 5 years. And they're like, so like, what's it like being out of retirement now and like going out and training? He's like, oh, I'm so sore. I'm like, he's been retired for 2 days. What are you talking?
The operational complexity is staggering. White's team has coordinated with White House staff, received presidential approval, and planned construction that will cost over $1 million just to repair the lawn afterward. The octagon placement, camera angles, and production elements have all been designed to showcase the White House as the backdrop for each fight. When you understand this level of ambition and investment, White's zero-tolerance policy for unreliable fighters makes perfect business sense.
What can you tell us about that? Is that finite? Is that definitely going to happen? Is it something that's just being talked about? What's the situation?
It's done.
Wow.
So we literally just did, my head of production went over there.
The stakes extend beyond just entertainment value. This event serves as a showcase for the UFC's new $7.7 billion media rights deal with Paramount, demonstrating the promotion's ability to deliver premium content on major network television. Success could open doors for future landmark events, while failure could damage relationships with broadcast partners and political allies. White simply cannot gamble with fighters who have a history of last-minute complications.
My ops people went there, went through everything with the president's team. Then the president signed off on everything, and where it goes.
While negotiations and retirement announcements dominated headlines, Jones made revelations about his physical condition that painted an even more sobering picture. During a February 2026 interview, he disclosed severe hip arthritis so advanced that doctors had already cleared him for hip replacement surgery. At just 38 years old, the cumulative damage from 17 years of elite competition was catching up in ways that could no longer be ignored or managed through temporary treatments.
I have Zuffa Boxing on the 23rd of this month. 24th is UFC. And as soon as those 2 fights are over, I start working on the White House fight.
The arthritis news initially leaked through an unexpected source. A fan wearing Meta recording glasses at a bare-knuckle event captured Jones discussing his condition in what he believed was a private conversation. Once the information became public, Jones confirmed its accuracy, describing himself as medically qualified for hip replacement while maintaining his characteristic resilience about the physical toll of athletic competition.
Literally building that thing, because what I didn't want was a lighting grid blocking out the White House.
And then came the statement that showed just
Daniel Cormier, Jones's longtime rival, provided perhaps the most insightful analysis of this situation. After watching Jones at a celebrity flag football event, Cormier became convinced that Jones was done as a competitive athlete. He noticed significant limitations in Jones's movement, particularly when trying to keep pace with other athletes, and connected these observations to the specific fighting style that had made Jones dominant: the oblique kicks, elbows, wrestling, and constant physical punishment both given and received.
I'm going to put on, obviously, the card that people expect to be at the White House. That's what I'm going to put together.
Cormier even speculated that Jones might have wanted the arthritis information to leak, giving him cover to reveal serious physical limitations without appearing to make excuses. Whether intentional or not, the disclosure provided context for Jones's retirement that went far beyond contractual disputes or trust issues with management. His body was telling a story that his competitive spirit was only beginning to acknowledge.
For the record, I agree 1000% with Dana White. The White House card has to be with guys that you...
By early 2026, Jones's public statements reflected a dramatic shift in priorities and energy. During his interview with Helen Yee, he delivered what might be the most telling quote of his entire career: "I really could care less about fighting." This wasn't the calculated ambiguity of previous retirement flirtations. It represented a genuine pivot away from competition toward other pursuits that seemed to genuinely energize him more than cage fighting.
no room for interpretation.
Has to be with guys that aren't going to embarrass the company. And unfortunately, he's done that. UFC 200, he did that. He's in the midst of something right now. They're going to put a guy who's in the midst of this thing right now on the White House card. No, you put Sean Brady on the White House card.
Jones outlined his vision for this new chapter, emphasizing personal growth, spiritual development, and mentorship opportunities. His work with Olympic gold medalist wrestler Gable Steveson exemplifies this transition, as Jones has taken on a coaching role helping the wrestling phenom navigate the transition to professional MMA. He's spoken about expanding his humanitarian efforts, investing more time in faith-based initiatives, and becoming his best self outside the demands of elite athletic competition.
It is true, I do have arthritis, and the kid that leaked that was an absolute. I was talking to some guys in confidential.
The heavyweight division, meanwhile, has moved forward with remarkable efficiency under Tom Aspinall's leadership. The new undisputed champion immediately signaled his intent to be an active title holder, ending the prolonged negotiations and uncertainty that had characterized the Jones era. Contenders who had been stuck in limbo suddenly gained clarity about their paths to title contention, and the division began functioning as a traditional championship weight class once again, rather than being frozen around one fighter's complicated relationship with competition and management.
He had one of those metal glasses on like myself, and he ended up posting that. That wasn't for everybody to hear.
I have severe arthritis, and most people don't know that. I actually already qualified for a hip replacement.
But that's how life works. I've been an athlete my whole entire life, and it's just something that comes with it. I think I started sports in 7th grade, and now I'm almost 40 years old. So it comes with it, but I do it all over again. And I feel great. You guys will see today. I'm going to get a warm up. I'm going to be running around, having fun, and doing what I do, baby.
Well, Jon came out recently and said he is up for a hip surgery already. He might be done. There's a lot of news surrounding Jon Jones right now. Some of the news would seem to have come to us when it wasn't intended to come. I think that Jon Jones knew what he was doing. I think that he wanted people to know that he's injured. And I think that's exactly the way that he wanted it to happen, by giving it to an influencer. I believe Jon Jones is hurt. And I believe Jon Jones really is dealing with sustained, with injuries from a long sustained career in combat sports, where knees and elbows and kicks were such a massive part of his game. The wrestling, I mean, sports from a young age takes a toll on the body, to anyone. I truly believe, that was the video that made me believe that Jon Jones doesn't have anything left in that regard. There will be no wrestling match between him and I. Because if that's him, right, in athletics, it would be too hard for him to compete in a wrestling match. His body will not hold up in the training to prepare for a wrestling match. So I think that people should now start to get ready for a day when they don't have Jones in fighting.
I don't want to say that I'm retired, because fighting's in my blood. Right now, I could really care less about fighting. I've been doing it my whole life at a very high level, and when the itch comes back,
Jones still left the door.
And if it comes back, then I'll do it with my whole heart. I'll do it to the best of my abilities. But right now, I look around and I realize what's true, what's real. I see the way people look at me and the way I make people feel. And it's an extraordinary thing. It's a true blessing. Now my job is to serve that, give that to my fans, be reachable, touchable, let them know what I have inside. That's who I am right now. I've punched and kicked enough people.